Hello and welcome to the fourth episode in this 5-part series on the top 5 mistakes that Photoshop users make when they first start using Photoshop. One area that is a little confusing for people when they are using Photoshop is all of the different file formats that you can save in. One mistake that I see people make a lot is not saving in the correct file format for the intent of your document. So we will run through all the different file formats that you can save as and the reason you might save as one file format as opposed to another. So let's take a look at those file formats in this video. I have this image open and it is currently saved as a JPEG file. Now if I wanted to save it as a different version or a different file format, I can come up to File and come down to Save As, and when I do that in my Save As window, you can see down the bottom here, this is where I can change the format that I'm going to save as. And there's quite a few formats in there within Photoshop, but there's only a few key ones that you will most likely ever need, and they would be the formats that are desirable when we're outputting for print, and also those that are designed to be output for web. So when it comes to saving for print, let's have a look at some of those formats. If I come up to File and then Open, I will come across to the folder that has all of these images inside. Now, the EPS, I'll open up that file format here. So this is the EPS file. Now, EPS is a bit of a dying format. It's still great for print work. It's a high resolution format that you can save in CMYK and then place into InDesign, but these days most print images are usually saved as the .psd file format or the TIFF format. So let's go in and have a look at those. If I open up the PSD, great, so we can see with this PSD file, if I have a look over here in my layers panel, I've got a couple of layers going on there. There's even a layer mask in this one, which is giving me this transparent background. That checkerboard in Photoshop represents transparency, so there's essentially no pixels within that area. So this PSD file format is what we call our document working file format. So generally when you're working on your document, running filters, running effects, that sort of thing, you'll be saving it as a PSD file format as you go. It's the native Photoshop file format. And you can even place this file format into print documents. So it can be saved as a CMYK document, and it can also be saved to include layers. So if you want to have that transparent background behind your objects within your layout, then you can save it as a PSD and drop them in. If I also open up the TIFF format that was in there, so likewise with TIFFs, they can also preserve transparency and those layers, and they are traditionally a print format, so they save well in CMYK, and they're a nice stable format to use throughout your print and marketing collateral. Now the other formats that are in there, if I open those up, we've got the JPEG format, which I spoke about earlier. That file format is ideally suited to web work. Some people still will drop JPEGs into print documents because you can save them as CMYK. I prefer not to, I'm a bit old school in that sense. But yeah, you can drop them into print docs, but mainly it's used for web work saved as an RGB image. Now if I come up and open the other file formats that are great for web, we've got the GIF or the GIF format. I'll open that one up. As you can see with this file format, it also preserves transparency. I've got this transparent background. It doesn't give you a really nice gradient when it comes to colors. So it's not best used for photos that have a lot of gradient and transition of tone. I'll zoom in a little bit closer on this image. And as you can see, you've got this banding effect that happens within the shadows and the highlights. So if you've got images that are being used for web and you'd like them to have a transparent background, you best choose another file format, which is the PNG or the PNG format. I come up to open that file format from here. So the same image but saved as PNG. We've still got the transparent background going on, but you can see there's a lot more smoother transition between your lights and your darks. So the PNG file format is ideal for web work when you want that nice transition between your darks and your highlights. So to sum up, if you're saving for print work, it's the .psd or the TIFF file format, which are the main two. You can also save as a PDF from within Photoshop. It's not commonly done. You would normally do that if you've included some text within the image, but primarily it's the TIFF and the PSD file format for print. And then when it comes to your web work, we generally save as a JPEG, a GIF, or a PNG file format. So hopefully that's helped to clear up some of those questions that you've got around what file format to save as, and I look forward to seeing you in the next Photoshop tutorial video.